percentage of our population is black? In some areas, it's 3, 5, 7%. Others, it's 13% nationwide. I think the nationwide black, I'm not talking about Hawaiians or Polynesians or people like Kamala Harris, who's not black. I'm talking about real African American heritage black people. So why are we talking so much about voter suppression?
What? We're talking about black people, blacks. So we're not talking about those Polynesians or those Hawaiians. I don't think anyone's ever confused Polynesians or Hawaiians or black people, but okay, sure. We're talking about black people. That guy, as I mentioned off the top there, his name is Randy Bishop. He's running for the Michigan State Senate as a Democrat. This is really crazy. But first of all, a little bit of information on why he's not a Democrat or what he actually is. He previously ran for office as a Republican. He's a former chair of the Antrim County Republican Party in Northern Michigan. And he's been active in spreading conspiracy theories and denying the 2020 election that Trump lost. So that'll always get you a good position in the Republican Party. But now he's running in the 37th district as a Democrat with those types of points. But those aren't his only points. He has other things to say about the LGBTQ community as well. Watch that.
See, one thing you got to understand, folks. Do you know only 1.5%, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, 2% of this population is LGBTQXYZ? 1 to 2% of our population is confused about their sexuality. They don't know what's between their legs. They think they're a woman, but they have something else between their legs. They're confused individuals. 1 to 2%. Why is the media and why are we constantly being bombarded with stuff about the LGBTQ XYZ community?
You say it over and over and over again. The LGBTQ XYZ ABC community, it doesn't do anything. It actually doesn't make your point any better. It makes you sound more ignorant and clueless on the entire subject. But still, why do we care about a smaller percentage of the population? This is only America. Why do we care about Americans? Why do we care about the minority groups in this country at all? Sounds like he's hearkening back to the way we used to do things, which we've kind of always done things, we just hit it better. But we're just taking the cover off of all this. I want to let you in on this point, Rayvana, because there's more after this. But the first thought on that, because he also says they're confused about their sexuality, and that's what's between their legs.
I mean, just so ignorant and so wrong on everything. I mean, 7% of the United States population self-identifies as LGBTQ. So he's wrong about it being 1%. But I mean, even if it was just 1%, it matters because of the the oppression that 1%. I mean, we know it's 7, but even if it was 1, the oppression that percent of the population experiences matters. It's horrible for them. It's systemic as well, and those sorts of issues matter regardless of how big that group is relative to the population. And I mean, he's also saying, at the beginning that black people only make up, 13% of the country, however many percent of the district he's running in, to try to, pretend that issues that black Americans experience aren't real or that we shouldn't care about them because it's not most of the country. So I mean, we're moving towards a world where the number of white people will be less than the number of non-white people, and I just wonder if he's going to bring that same energy then. That white issues don't matter once they're a minority in this world.
No, but that's the thought process. The worry is it's actually a confirmation of how systemic oppression happens in the country. They're like, we've been in control this whole time. We don't want to talk about how oppression works and how our systems have actually helped implement and carry that out. So if we end up in the minority somehow, that's one of the big fears of these white nationalists is if we're in the minority, we're gonna get treated the way we treated minorities. And that's just the way things go because human nature is to absolutely oppress anyone that's not in power or isn't the majority demographic in the country. Republicans are upset at Eric Swalwell yet again because he took to Twitter and he pointed out, I think what is a pretty good assumption that could happen based off of the way these folks talk. Let's jump straight to his tweet first, you guys. Let's jump down to graphic number 2 here. This is what he said that has them so upset. So he said the Republicans won't stop at banning abortion. They want to ban interracial marriage. Do you want to save that? well, then you should probably vote. So this ended up being a tweet about voting in order to change the situation, or at least to fight back, rather than what maybe Congress can do to protect people's rights because they've already been elected. Voting already happened, Eric. Okay, but I see his point. I'm not gonna go too hard on him there. So he did get some response from other tweeters. Wesley Hunt said, "Hi, Eric. My name is Wesley Hunt. I'm a Republican nominee in a congressional district that is 70% white. I'm black, and I'm in an interracial marriage, and my wife and I have 2 biracial daughters. Republicans are celebrating diversity, while white liberals like yourself race bait." I'm waiting for his example of this celebration of diversity from Republicans based off of who he is. That's your family life. I'm happy for you. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, but there was someone who might illustrate this point. Let's jump back up to this first thought, you guys, because there is someone that Eric Swalwell was probably thinking about when he pointed this out. Watch this.
So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes, I think that that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. I think that's hypocritical.
It's hypocritical, according to Mike Braun there of Indiana, that senator. He was talking about how maybe if the states want to do it, because that's all this will do. We pointed this out yesterday with this overturning of Roe v. Wade. It hands the power back to states, which we've already got 13 of them or so that are already prepared and have legislation prepared to come into law as soon as something like this would happen, that would ban abortions at any level, no exceptions in some of these states. And someone like Mike Braun who says, yeah, sure, give power back to the states to decide things like interracial marriage as well. So maybe our black Republican there who's running for Congress or whatever he's running for might not be too happy with his party once that happens. Now, really fast, Adrian, because there's some a little bit more proof behind this leaked opinion that Justice Alito wrote. Part of my opinion, written by Justice Samuel Alito, explicitly references Obergefell versus Hodges, the landmark decision to legalize same-sex marriage, in Lawrence versus Texas, a decision that legalized sodomy. In the leaked opinion, Alito says these decisions do not protect rights that are, quote, deeply rooted in history. These attempts to justify abortion through appeals, though appeals to a broader right to autonomy and to define one's concept of existence, prove too much, is what he wrote, claiming that the right to autonomy could license fundamental rights to illicit drug use, prostitution, and the like. It can spread further, and people have talked about this because there's some legal precedent, there's a legal approach to this that they could take this to the next level in many states, in whatever state they feel like it, Adrian.
Yeah, because the reality is that if we return those rights to states, so to speak, in terms of states being able to dictate what private actions individuals engage in are lawful and unlawful when we're talking about consenting adults, then what we're gonna have is a completely ununiform legal system throughout the United States when it comes to individuals' privacy rights. That means if 2 men decide to have sex in Texas, as it was those decades ago, then they can be arrested and they can be prosecuted for it, because of how Texas laws are structured. And so by having this uniform national understanding of what our constitutional protections are, which is what the Supreme Court holds hands down, that's something that ensures that each of our individual rights are going to be preserved, and also that we're going to be respected when it comes to bodily autonomy and decisions that we make as consenting adults. And taking that away from individuals by attacking these opinions, that tells you where Alito is going when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights, and that he wants us to regress as a society and allow states to condemn this quote unquote behavior, quote unquote lifestyle, and all these other conservative outlooks that really reflect homophobia, transphobia, and phobia of anything that's not white, Christian, male, cis, and hetero.